If
you
you
go.
borrow money, deal with it. You
Right.
can't make a payment, call them up. It's about repeat business. If you don't have integrity, you will
Yeah.
not get repeat business. And so I'm kind of generalizing a little bit here.
Yeah.
If you run a restaurant and you're not making great food, you'll have people come in one time, right?
I was introduced through Shaheen,
Hmm.
and I was, of course, I've developed a lot of other relationships. By the way, I've actually spoke a few times so far,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
just it is the most amazing group of men, and
right,
I attended
right,
one of the big events last year, and
right.
I just like it's one of those things where you got to experience it. I mean, for anybody that's wondering about it,
Yeah,
you just got to experience
yeah,
it because it does feel
yeah,
good. And you guys talk a lot about like masculine intelligence. So what does that
yeah.
mean to you?
I just got this yesterday, so I'm kind of proud of it. This
Awesome.
is this is the book. We have a book called Masculine Intelligence, which is eight core principles of the world's most successful men. And for anybody who's listening on the radio or listening to this podcast, I'm holding up a huge poster of the book right now.
That's a big. I was going to say that's a big book, man. That's a
Yeah, it's a big
huge
book.
book. It's a long
So
read, So
I'll
no,
explain a
it's
little bit about what it's about.
yeah. Please,
The
please
internet.
explain it. Yeah,
Yeah,
talk
the
about it.
internet is full of this. Seven vital steps to make your garden grow.
Right.
24 things you didn't know about investing in crypto, right? There's always these things. And nearly all of them are just made up nonsense just
Right.
to get someone to buy something. So I was determined. Ken and I sat down and we asked this question. What do successful men, and we have a representative group of 800 guys here, what do the successful men, what do we have in common? What do I have in common with you, Daniel? We come from super different backgrounds, but we
Right.
have to have a ton of things in common. So we did a research project with 450 guys, and it was an open-ended qual survey. It was really involved. There was like 7 pages of questions initially. From that, we then distilled that down to focus groups, more and more questions to ask this question: what do we have in common? What did your success? How did you get successful? What do you attribute your success to? And because I just had a sense there's got to be things. I mean, curiosity was an obvious thing, right? And so, after the beauty of AI and the way that the ChatGPT, the Claude tools, and so on work means that now you can look at qualitative data and you can turn it into quant data because it's possible. So we found that there are 8 core principles that all successful men, and by extension, all successful people, not just men, um, have created the core success in their life. The book is the first volume of a series of interviews we've done with metal men. This book has Nolan Bushnell, uh, Chris Voss, a whole bunch of Chris Voss, a whole bunch of really interesting guys are interviewed in this. Um, and so the first one, I'll just walk you through them. The first one is curiosity. Now, I've met you before, so I know you're a really curious guy. You're like, what's that? Right? Let's say you get on a plane, Daniel, and your phone battery's died and you're just sitting there. What are you going to do? You're either going to talk to the person next to you or you're going to look at the in-flight magazine and you're going to be like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know about that thing. You're curious. I got to
Right.
look that up. What? Really?
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
There's the link between, I don't know, bats, malaria, cows, and something else. I don't know, just some interesting thing. You're like, that is so interesting. And now the next thing is we're creative. Because let's say now we read something in an aircraft magazine, in an airline magazine. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. That makes me creative. I'm like, I wonder if there's a business in creating a little widget doof or something or another, right? To solve a problem that I just didn't know about.
Or how can this help my current business? You're always looking at, right? Whatever it is
Right,
you're doing,
right,
you're always trying to be.
right,
I mean, I just put
right.
together a full on business plan for 2025, and I was creative about it, and I was trying to think of different ideas and different angles, and then I shared it with my team right now.
Right.
And
Right.
all the people on Wealth on the Beach Club. And so, yeah, I mean, we are creative creatures, man.
Right. Right.
Right?
So you've got to be curious. You got to be creative. The third thing is integrity.
Hmm. For
right?
sure. For sure.
So you've got to have integrity in your life, which is a critical thing. And then you've got to understand about not giving up,
But
right?
what about,
You,
let's stop right there though, Will. I mean,
yeah.
what about like when people say, okay, somebody like a Donald Trump, right? Now, I mean, I think everybody knows that watches me. I'm a Trump guy. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I voted for Trump. But what about when those people say, well, how did he become successful? And he doesn't necessarily, especially in the early days. I mean, looking at
Right.
his past,
Right.
maybe he didn't have that much integrity. So what? How does that get walk? How does that
Well,
get
it's a really
defined,
good
right?
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
really good
yeah.
point.
How does that
And
happen?
we have a golden rule in metal internally, which is
Mhm.
we never talk politics.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
By the way,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
being clear
Which is
about it,
cool.
it
Which is
becomes,
cool.
yeah, it becomes a safe space to talk about. Why?
Right,
Because
right, right. But
politics
I'm
is an
I'm just saying the
opinion.
character, without
Yes.
putting the politics aside, like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
human, he's
How
a
do you,
human that became successful, but he maybe didn't have all the most
right?
integrity early on, right?
Absolutely. And we all know people who are like that. But having integrity as for most people, it's a personal decision how you live your
Right,
life.
right, right,
And what it means as an entrepreneur is making sure that you deliver on your promises.
right, right, right. Okay, there
If
you
you
go.
borrow money,
There you go.
deal with it. You
Right,
can't make a payment, call them
right,
up, right?
right, right, right.
It's about repeat business. If you don't have integrity, you will not get repeat business. And so I'm kind of generalizing a little bit here,
Yeah.
but right, if you run a restaurant and you're not making great food, you'll have people come in one time, right?
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here.